inside your chest, calls on you to cry. You decided it was time for him to fly.
I tried so hard to let go, writing poetry and rhymes just to get you off my mind. It's either yes or it's no. I'm not a yo-yo on a string that you flip and twist and swing. I'm not gonna vibe tonight. You don't get everything you like, 'cause I'm not ready. If I'm not ready, I'm not gonna vibe tonight. You don't get everything you like, 'cause I'm not ready.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Melanie Wood, founder of Speaking Styles, and I help people like yourself to be able to gain more clarity and confidence so that you can speak in public. So welcome to today's presentation. So let me know in the comments that you are ready to be able to find your voice and speak in public, whether it's in person or whether it is online. Let me know if you're ready to get started. Now, before we get started I want to get an understanding of where you're at when it comes to speaking in public. So in the comments, you're going to be able to let me know whether you are a range of 1, 2, 3, or 4, or you might be a combination of a few of them. So number 1 is that you might be feeling a bit unsure or overwhelmed about speaking in public. Number 2, you might be feeling a bit like an imposter. Number 3 is that you need a little bit more help around clarity and confidence around who you are and what you do. And then number 4 is that you're confident, you're ready, but you would just love to be able to sharpen your speaking skills a little bit more. So I'll let you have a few moments so that you can see and identify which one or which ones you might be sitting at right now. Let us know in the comments. And note it down on a piece of paper as well, because then you can come back to it, know where you're at, and out of today's presentation, you're going to have the tools and strategies to move forward with speaking in public. Excellent. Thank you everybody for sharing. Well done. Thank you. So we're probably got a combination of lots of different things there as well with everybody watching either live or later on. So before we get started, I want to be able to share a little bit more information about myself, to share a bit of a story of what brings me to do what I do and what I am here to do today with all of you. So my name is Melanie Wood. I'm the founder of my business, Speaking Styles. And speaking in public was not something that I was born with at all. I used to avoid it at every opportunity. So again, like yourself, out there that it's one of the most biggest fears in life is public speaking. And when we're in business, we're even more faced with exposing ourselves, putting ourselves out there on camera or in person. So I know exactly how that feels. So I want to take you back to when I was in my late teens. I used to be this really fearless, adventurous person. I'm from Scotland and I now live in Australia, and I used to do a lot of traveling. I lived in Europe when I was around 17. And then when I came back from Europe, I wanted to go and live and work in America. I'd been there on holiday several times and I absolutely loved it. From when I was little and I used to sit in a school classroom in Scotland with grey clouds and lots of rain, I used to stare out of the window and dream of sunshine. I used to dream of a better life for myself than what I was doing in school. I was never an academic person. And then when I came back from Europe, I absolutely loved it, waking up every day to sunshine. And I then got a ticket to go to America. And I was going to work in Camp America for 3 months and then extend my visa and look to get a green card because I wanted to immigrate for such a small young age to be able to live in another country. And 6 months prior to going to America, I had my plane ticket, I had my visas all sorted. I then went on a night out and I met a man. And that ticket to America soon got put in the bin. I was 18 at the time, and again with society, I was very much programmed into you got married, you settled down, you had kids, and you built your career. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. So that dream ended up in the bin. I then got married when I was 21. And for 6 years in that marriage, I actually lived quite a nightmare life because I actually didn't marry the man of my dreams. I actually met and married the man of my nightmares. And I actually was in an abusive marriage for 6 years. And I was also in a workplace where I was going through a lot of bullying and harassment. So for 6 years, I lost that adventurous, fearless person that had her whole life ahead of her. And I lost my voice. And I really lost that sense of myself. And the reason that I share that story with all of you is that it is possible for anybody living a life to be able to overcome anything that happens to you. And then with my workplace that I was in, my colleague at the time actually started to realize there was lots of things not going quite right in my life. And she reached out a hand and she asked me one day if I was okay. And I knew in that moment that I had to find my voice and I had to trust in her. And I said I wasn't okay. And for an entire year, she helped me and guided me and supported me to be able to leave that marriage. And then after that, I vowed for the rest of my days to help people be able to gain that voice, to be able to become their best selves. And you know, I did nothing for 12 years. I was resentful, I was frustrated, I was angry at the world for the situation that I had been in, and I did nothing for 12 years. Then 7 years ago, I was then given an opportunity to come to Australia for a year. And I took it and I grabbed it with both arms. And 6 months before I boarded that plane, I was actually given the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Let me know in the comments if anybody's ever read that book before. If not, I definitely would suggest to be able to go to the library or download that book, because it changed my life. Not at first, because when I was given that book, I was never exposed to self-development or spirituality. So this Scottish, cynical, hated the world girl, when I was given that book to tell me to take responsibility of my life, I threw the book back at my friend. And she said, read it again with an open mind. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll read it again with an open mind. I read it again, I watched the documentary, and I just immersed myself in the last 7 years in self-development and spirituality to absolutely change my life. And in that change, I then started to overcome the fear of public speaking as well. And I know how everybody feels when they are faced with a group of people or a camera. I know exactly how you feel, because I have been there and I've overcome it. And my why and my purpose for what I do is so much more than that fear of public speaking. And I want to take you through all of those strategies today of what it takes and what is possible for you. And that's what brings me today to do what I love to do, to help people find their voice, for you to help people in the amazing work that you do to help others. So that's enough about me. It is now all about all of you watching here today live or on replay. So before we get started, now that I've shared a bit more about myself, it would be great in the comments to be able to let us know your name, what your business is, and to describe yourself in one word as well. So I'll give you a few moments to pop that in the comments. And we always get so much fun when we do the one word that describes who you are. We get a lot of people that say they're adventurous, community is something that's really important to them. So it'd be interesting to see what they describe the one word for yourself as well. And I'll share with you what mine would be. Mine would be fearless, what my one word to describe myself would be. Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody. So let's get started. I'm going to teach you today the 3 C's of communication in your business and in your life. So what I'm going to talk about is confidence for future results. So I'm going to be able to teach you some mindset strategies as a foundation, as I believe, in order to change any skills or to improve our skills or to be able to introduce new ones, is we need to be in the right mindset in order to do that. So then I'm going to be able to help you get that clarity to gain of your message of who you are and what you do, so that you can speak in public but also online as well. Then the 3rd C is communication in your community networks as well, of how you communicate you and what you do at networking events, at local areas and their events and tourism as well, so that you can be able to reach as many people as possible. So that's the 3 C's of what we're going to go through today, everyone. So what I do is that I take people through being uncertain, through imposter, up to clarity. So again, let me know in the comments where you might be sitting right now about how you communicate yourself and your business. So some people feel confusion, anxious, overwhelmed, fearful when they feel uncertain about how they communicate, who they are and what they do. Then some people then start to feel, oh, who's going to listen to me? Do I actually know more than my audience knows? And then you will have that clarity because you know your content. But you might want to be able to go through, be feeling anxious, going through feeling like you're an imposter, and then feeling like you're your authentic person, you're confident, you're relaxed, you enjoy speaking in public. Who would love to be able to enjoy speaking in public? Let me know in the comments. I was not there on day one, I can tell you that I never used to stand up every single time and enjoy it. I was so glad when it was done. So let me know where you might be sitting right now and how you feel about those things, because once we become aware of how we feel emotionally, then it's going to be able to help you move forward from that as well. So it's good to note it down on a bit of paper either just now or later and let me know in the comments. Then I would like you to close your eyes and visualize yourself in 3 to 6 months' time. From where you are today watching this, where would you like to see yourself in 6 months' time? Closing your eyes and really visualizing and imagining what you would look like, taking away the strategies and the tools from today and starting to implement them every single day. And I'll give you a few moments to close your eyes and visualize that. Excellent. Well done, everybody. If you feel like sharing in the comments of those visualizations and what you imagine to see yourself, or you can just pop it down in a notepad there. And that's something that I would definitely recommend that you bring out every day. Every day when you've got an event coming up or you're attending a networking event and you have a little bit of fear or a little bit of anxiety, just keep picturing that person in 6 months' time, because the more you do it, that person in 6 months' time is definitely there underneath all of that anxiety and fear. So let's get into our first C of communication. So we're going to talk about the confidence for change as well. So these are going to be my 4 steps when we talk about confidence for change. Changing the way in which we see ourselves, the way in which we see the world, then we want to be able to change to do that. So my first one is that number 1, I want you to note down for me, either in the comments or in a notebook, what the purpose of what you do. So when you are speaking in public, whether you're attending a networking event or you're speaking at a networking event or at different types of workshops and things that you do, what's the purpose of it? So really it does come down to your why. So I really want you to think about what's the purpose of what you do? What is your why about what it is that you do? Because I know that it's something that we hear all the time around your why, but when you do have some fears and some self-doubts around communicating who you are, your why is going to get you up in the morning. The purpose of what you do to help others is going to help you change. It's going to help you move forward and do those things that are outside your comfort zone. So write down for me, what is the purpose of what you do, who you are, and why you want to communicate that with people. And what I want you to think about is that it's about your audience. So your why is because you're there to help other people. Because when we change the focus from ourselves and we're focusing on our audience, it flips the perception and it takes away and reduces any self-doubt, any uncertainty, any imposter, because we know that that one person that could be watching this or hearing you speak, you are going to help change them. So getting clear on your purpose is so important. Then we want to look at number 2 around aptitude. So I want you to think of your talents, your skills, because you have a set of those already. So you know the content, you probably know it inside out. But as soon as you stand up in front of people, it goes right out of the window, right? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure a few of you must be nodding and going, yep, definitely. I'm super clear in a conversation one-on-one, but get me in front of people, it goes right out of the window. So I want you to get clear on your skills, your strengths around everything that you know, because that's going to be able to help you. I want you to remember your amazing achievements that you have to date, because that's going to bring in your self-worth. It's going to bring in your self-value of what you do. And it's going to remind you around that you have amazing achievements. And you know, you've probably went through a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles to get there. So getting up in public, speaking to people, then that's just another opportunity to grow and to learn and to grow a new skill. So write down all your skills, all your talents. And these are things as well around bringing your own personality into it. Because the biggest thing that I see, and it's one of the biggest common mistakes that I see people do, is that they have one-on-one conversations with people and then they stand up in front of a group and they're like two different people. You want to use who you are one-on-one to the same as you are on camera, to the same as you are in person, because that's who people buy into. They buy into you. So if you're two different people, or they might just meet you for the very first time and you're standing up in front of a group, they're going to think, oh wow, that person, you know, is a bit like a robot. I don't really sense any personality coming through. Then really take note of who you are that you can bring across to people as well. So then number 3 is clarity. So 3 is getting clear, which we will talk about in this presentation. Getting clarity around what you do, what some of your goals that you have for you, getting clear on the message of who you are. Again, it's one of the most common mistakes that I see happen so often, is that people get up and talk about themselves and they're not clear. And then what happens is that people don't really understand who you are and what you do, and then they walk away going, oh, I don't really know what that person does. I don't really know if it's something for me. So getting clear, and what you want to look at is that when you get clear about who you are and what you do, then it's going to be easier to communicate that as well with people. So you might want to note down in your notepad or in the comments, maybe just a couple of points around what it is that you do. And you might just want to put some bullet points, because again, when we go through this presentation, you're going to be able to draw out some of those and be able to start putting that together in some things that I'm going to be able to teach you. So then number 4 is practicing, which means, yes, I'm afraid everybody, that means you have to go out there and speak to people. So use opportunities to practice that. So thinking ahead of, it could be that you have an upcoming event coming up, an upcoming networking event, and you think, right, I'm going to use this time that you have to get clear, write down a bit of an intro, which I'm going to be able to teach you, and then start to practice. So you might want to practice at home. You might want to record yourself, and I know I can hear people cringing at the thought of recording themselves and then looking back at it. Maybe get a friend or someone to look over it for you. But the only way in which we can grow, we can get out our comfort zones and practice and improve, is going out there and doing it. There is no other way that I can tell you how to improve your speaking in public until you start to do it. And that's how it starts to get easier. So you really want to be able to practice that. And just remember, everybody, today is going to be a good day every day, right? So what I want to talk about is, and I'm sure for a lot of you, you've seen this before, of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Because one of the things that we need to be looking at is the needs of your audience and where they're at right now. So if we're not able to communicate where people are at right now and where they might be on the level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if people are at the bottom, which during our situation that we've been through, is that they can't then see the top of the mountain. They can't see what you're offering, because right now they're in survival. They can't look at potentially bringing in new things, doing a lot of different changes, because they're right there at the bottom. So what it is our job as business owners, as speaking in public, is a way of being able to relate to people, being able to help people and bring them with you and bringing them up through Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because that's your network needs, that's your community needs. And people want to feel that they have a sense of belonging in your community, in your business. That's what people need and that's what people want. So a lot of the times that I see as well is that people will hide behind their business and people want to relate to you. They want to know that when they come to work with you, that there's going to have that sense of community, and that sense of belonging is so important for people. So then we're going to be able to then build up their self-esteem, being able to help them in what you do so that you can help them get up to the top of where they need to be around their mindset, to their skills, to where they're self-aware of themselves. But it takes you to be able to help people do that. It takes you to communicate that, which again we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But I just want to use this as remembering is that the people that you speak to are at different levels. So being able to get clear on your message, being able to share stories, which I'm going to be able to communicate and teach you about that afterwards. But just remember when you are faced with talking in public is that everybody in the audience is at a different level. They're at different needs and wants as well. And it's really important to communicate and relate to those people. And what I will say on that is that before you do any speaking in public, it's really important to do groundwork and homework behind the scenes. So you might want to research about who might be attending. So you want to be able to know who your audience is. So that could be is that you ask the organizer who potentially are the people that turn up. You could as well do a little bit of stalking on Facebook, on social media. When people going to that event, then you could use that to do a little bit more of gathering of information. You get to know who they are, their businesses that they have, and then you can start to communicate where they're at. And then you can help with your message to motivate them to then come and either work with you, connect with you, and grow with you in your network and in your community. So the way in which to do that is to guide and support people and take them up with you, up there. So let's come back on to yourself when it comes to speaking in public. So I want to talk about the 4 fears that happen around any form of communication that we do. So what I want to say is that when it comes to public speaking, people just see the word or they hear the word public speaking and they run in the other direction, right? Who let me know in the comments who does that and go, no, that's not going to be me. It was literally me for, you know, most of my adult life and teenage life. So what I want to say is that it's not about the word public speaking. It's not about that. It's actually about what's going on for you internally. So the 4 fears, there could be one that's holding you back, or there could be multiple that could be holding you back. But the more that we can become aware of what those are, then it's going to be easier that you can put things in place every day to be able to overcome that. So the 4 that I have is that you might have fear of failure by speaking in public. You might have fear of humiliation and embarrassment because you might say something, or your mind might go blank, or you might trip over. All of these things that you think, I hope would never happen to me. Fear of judgment. So we think what other people might think of us when we stand up in front of a group. Or fear of rejection. And those are some big ones as well, of people go, if I speak in public and then nobody wants to be my friend at the end of it, or nobody wants to buy from me, you might feel rejected by that. So I'll give you a few moments to have a bit of a think, note it down, which one or which ones could be at the forefront for you when it comes to speaking in public or speaking in front of a camera. Let us know in the comments. I'd love to know where everybody might be at, but if you don't have to. You can just pop it down in a notepad. But it's really important for you to identify where you will be. So I'll give a few moments for everybody just to have a bit of a think about it, and then I'm going to chat a little bit more around the fears. Excellent, thank you for sharing. And the main ones that I see a lot from people, and especially in business, is that fear of rejection can be quite high up, and then fear of failure comes at a close second. Because then when we're speaking in public, if people don't potentially maybe agree with us, or they want to connect with us, or they want to work with us, then we can sometimes feel rejected, and then sometimes we can feel like we've failed at that speaking event that we have done, speaking in public, or standing up and introducing yourself at a networking event. Fear of judgment as well is something that can be quite important as well, around your own inner voice, because you start to look at everybody and think, oh, their facial expressions, their body language doesn't quite match up. I don't know if I said the right thing. And what I want to say is there's no right or wrong thing around communicating who you are and what you do, because at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility to what people do with your information. So what I want to talk about is hyper-responsibility. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of this term before. So hyper-responsibility is around when we communicate who we are and what we do, it's not our responsibility for people to agree with us, to want to come and work with us or connect with us, or to even implement the things that you are teaching them. So like me here today presenting to all of you, it's not my responsibility to what you do afterwards. With the tools, with the strategies that I teach, that's your responsibility to what you want to do with the information that I'm giving. So one of the things that I did learn is that the way in which to be able to reduce these fears, to be able to reduce the nerves and the anxiety, is around not having the pressure, not having the responsibility for other people and what they do. They need to do that for themselves. So I want you to really think about that when the next time that you're getting up to talk about yourself, is that it's not your responsibility. It is their responsibility, just like it's your responsibility to what you do with this information afterwards. And even when I started to learn this and how I teach my clients, it's an absolute game changer when you suddenly realize that you don't have to hold everybody in the whole world on your shoulders and need for people to do it, because we cannot want it for people more than they want it for themselves. So that's us for our 4 fears. I actually just want to touch on a 5th one, and a lot of what can come up and what people do tell me is that fear of success can be another 5th fear. So the more that people are getting the confidence, you've started to get clear on your message, you're starting to get the confidence, and you've started to sharpen your speaking skills, is that now the more you're doing it, is that you then might feel that you would have a fear of success would come into it around, and then self-sabotage comes into it. So I want you to think as well is that sometimes when you want to push through those fears, is that then you think you more expose yourself, the more that you get that confidence, then ego can actually take over, and then a lot of more fear can come into it, and then self-sabotage around that fear of success. So let me know if maybe fear of success might be yours. I know for other people it has been the same as well. So instead of looking at the fear of failure, and when we spoke about earlier in getting the confidence to change, is that we want to be able to practice, right? So instead of looking at failure of doing the wrong thing, why don't we look at fail actually means it's the first attempt in learning. So let's reframe the way we look at failure, and actually to think of, we need to just go out there and practice, and we need to do it. And have fun doing it, right, as well. So start learning today and go out there and start to begin to share your story, your message, All right, so let's get on to learning more about getting clear on your message. So now we've looked at our mindset. So now you have some tools, now you have some strategies around being more self-aware of your fears, being more self-aware around where you sit about uncertainty and imposter, and getting more clarity around your purpose, getting more clarity around your message that we're going to be able to do now. So let's have a look at how you can start to begin to do this. So this can be really relevant when it comes to networking events or social events, and people want to know, hey, you know, what do you do? And for a majority of people, they go, what do I do and how do I communicate this? And people look like they're rabbits caught in the headlights. Let me know in the comments if that's you, that you dread anybody ever asking you, what do you do? Because you're not sure how to answer it. So the common mistakes that I see and hear a lot is that people then waffle and projectile vomit what they do, and then it's like the speed train, and then you're like, I don't know how to stop. How do I stop? And I'm just going to keep talking and talking and talking, and the person's just looking, going, oh my goodness, how do I get away from this person? And then the other one is that you say the same thing as everybody else does. So I want to teach you this proven method so that you are able to stand out from everybody else that communicates who they are and what they do. Let me know in the comments if you'd love to be able to showcase a point of difference and be able to do something different so that you become memorable. So I have two different options here for everybody. And so one of them is that if you are in business, then this is a really good one, option one, which I will take you through. Option two is, again, for some people, you might be in an organization, you might have a business on the side. So I like to give the two options for different people depending on where you sit. So number one, it's a bit filling in the gaps, is that I want you to think about that you can say, hi, my name is, then think about what your title is, whether you're founder, whether you're the business owner, whether you're director, whatever you want to be having as your title. And then I help people too. So you can change the word help. So I say that I specialize in helping people too. Or you could say that I support people in, I guide people in. So when we use emotional language like help, support, guide, then what happens in the audience's brains is that they start to go, so you help people do this. Well, maybe you could help me. So again, it is choosing the right words and the way in which you communicate, which then reduces the barriers in your audience to wanting to actually be open to hear what you have to say. So this is why I have created this types of intro for you to be able to do, because what happens is you reduce so many barriers around your audiences that when people communicate the same way, people just switch off. If there's 20 people in a networking event and everybody stands up and says exactly the same thing, most people have switched off by then. So imagine you're the 20th person and then you come in with a completely different type of intro. It's then going to wake up those people sitting there going, oh, that sounded a bit different. I need to wake up and listen to this. So whereas most people tend to say, hi, I'm such and such, and this is what I do. And that's pretty much it. So whereas this is going to help you be able to feed into the needs and the wants of your clients, your customers, and your audience. So I'm going to just touch on mine again, just as an example. So I say, hi, I'm Melanie Wood. I'm the founder and owner of my business, Speaking Styles, and I specialize in helping business owners and entrepreneurs like yourself to gain more clarity and confidence to talk about yourself and your business so that you can attract the clients and expand your business. So I have done a lot of research. I have done a lot of listening to people. So I really want to say, if you're not sure right now what words you want to put into your message, is that take time to do some research. So before I came up with mine, I actually spent a lot of time attending networking events, going back to my past clients, my current clients, and asking them why they were working with me, asking them what their problems and their pain points were. So what actually came back from that research is that people wanted to gain more clarity and confidence around talking about themselves and what they do. So I knew this was something that was a massive problem and pain point for people. So if you are not clear on what that is, my massive suggestion to you is go back to your customers and your clients. Start speaking to people and asking them what's the one key thing that they would love to be able to learn from what it is that you do. And you'll start to build a picture, which means you can start bringing in those words that your customers and your clients need. Because what we think is not necessarily what other people think, because we are so in our business and what we think people need is actually probably far from the truth. So you really want to come out of yourself and find out from the people that actually have worked with you, are currently working with you, and what some of the things that they are actually needing. The other things that I want to touch on is that you want to get clear around your values, clear around your passions, clear around what connects to your heart about what you do. Because you do not want to create this intro and then sound like a robot. So bringing your values, your passions, what connects to your heart about what you do is going to bring through your authenticity, which again is going to back up what you say and how you're going to connect to other people. So write down for me as well, just doing a bit of a filling in the gaps, your name, what your title of what you would like to come across to people, and what do you help people do. This can't be any more than 2 sentences, okay? This will stop the waffling. This will stop the projectile vomiting. This is, and I know I hear all the time people go, but I've got so much that I want to share about what I do. It's not about you and it's about your audience, right? That's always what I will come back to, and I'm quite direct about that for a very, very good reason, is that you want to intrigue your audience to want to know more. And it is about them and less about yourself. So by creating an intrigue means that people go, tell me more about that. And then you can go into more of that information. But here's the key thing around this is that, let me know in the comments, who would love to attract the right clients and the right customers to work with? Because I know that I do, and the people that I work with definitely do. So by doing this means that you're communicating in a way that you have the right message and you have your authenticity coming through, which you filter out the people that don't want to know more, and you filter out the people that you don't really want to work with, right? We're in business because we get to choose who we work with. So that's what's really important about it, is that you don't want to be at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, needing everybody to come and work with you, right? Because I'm sure for anybody watching that you have worked with people and you think, I never want to work with those people again. Getting clear on your message, guys, is how you're going to do that. So option 2 I want to touch on as well for anybody watching that is in an organization, and you do, and I meet people all the time at networking events and they get up to speak as well, then you want to be able to communicate that message super clear as well. So there are going to be 2 different ways that you can do this one. So you can say, hi, I'm your your name, your job title, the company you work for, what do you do, and what do you love about what you do? Now, there's another way of flipping this, because I have had people say that, yeah, but as soon as I say the company that I work for, if people have had bad experiences with them or they have a preconceived idea about what I do. So this is what I would suggest to you if you feel that way as well, is that you could say, hi, I'm such and such. This is what I love about what I get to do each day. This is what I do, and then this is the company that I work for. So what you're doing is you're reducing the barriers because you're getting the connection with people first, which means then when you get to speak about your title in the company, you've reduced so much of the judgment that other people might have around that business, and they are connecting with you. Because what we really need to remember out of these messages is that people connect with you. They do not connect to titles. They do not connect to organizational names or business names. They're connecting with you. So if you feel that the organization that you work for, then change that around to talking about what you love about what you do, and then you can talk about the organization afterwards, because it will completely change everything. So I just want to touch as well is that when I do teach people to do this, it does sound different and people feel a little bit weird doing it at the very beginning. And then when you get to your turn, when you have to introduce yourself, or you get up in front of a group of people in public and you go, and that split second, that mind just goes, don't say that, right? And in that split second, people change, and I've seen it, and they go back to reverting to the default. So what I actually want to bring in is I want to talk about, Mel Robbins does the 5-second rule. Let me know if you've heard of this. This is something I absolutely live by. I do it every morning to get myself out of bed at 4:30 every day. I can tell you, especially now it's cold and dark. So what I want you to do is that it stops the monkey mind telling you, oh, you shouldn't do that. Who's going to listen to you? And because you're doing something different, I want you to do the 5-second rule. So it's just about your turn to stand up, or you're about to present. You go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just do it. And it will really help you in that process of changing that habit and changing the default to doing something new. Because what we're doing is we're rewiring our brain to do something differently, which can seem and feel really weird at first. But then as you go out there and you practice and you do it, it's going to feel absolutely normal to do it, and you will start to enjoy it as well. So these are some options there to start getting clear on your message, which is something that is proven. I have helped many people do it, so definitely sit down and really craft this out later. So that's getting clear on your message. Now I want to talk about how you get the communication in your networks and within your community. So now this moves me on to my third C of communication, and it is around storytelling. Storytelling we have been doing since the beginning of time, since the caveman days. The images of ways in which we share stories. We share stories every single day. So stories are never going to go away. We're always going to be telling them. And it's so important to share your own story, and it's so important to share your business or your organizational story. So let me know in the comments, or just note this down, is that how many stories have you heard in the last week? And I'm sure you have heard many, many stories. Normally I get over 50 or over 30, absolutely loads of stories that we are listening to all the time. Then I want you to think about is that out of all of those stories, which ones do you remember? How many of those do you remember? And generally they're 1 or 2 out of 30 plus or 50 plus. That's not that many, right? So this is where the storytelling, getting clear on your message, is so important, because out of 30 to 50 stories that people hear each week and they only remember 1 or 2, do you want to be the 1 or 2 that people remember? And I'm sure for a lot of you, yes, definitely you will want to be the most memorable person out there for people to remember. So we have to be able to look at being able to share your story, because it is absolutely vital to who you are and what you do. And I know, and I can hear what people are saying, and they go, but I don't have a traumatic story like you to share. And that's right, you don't, because you have your own unique story, just like I do. And then another thing that I hear people say, I'm not comfortable sharing my story. And I say, that's okay. We need to be able to sit down and craft out parts of your story that relates to your audience. That goes back to doing the research, knowing who your audience is, to maybe what parts of the story that you're going to be able to share. And I'm going to touch on it in our next slide about how you do and be able to craft that. But I really want to just reiterate around storytelling is so, so important, and especially in business. Because what happens is you reduce the know, like, and trust factor by 6 months. So who would love to fast track their business by 6 months and increase your customers, increase your connections and your clients by 6 months? So this means, as we're all going back to doing things in person and in public, is that you leave your business cards at home and you connect with people and you share the stories. Because one of the things that I talk about is when we use business cards, it is like going up to a stranger and asking them to marry you without ever dating them. That is exactly what we are doing in business when we do not share more about ourselves. Because as I've said earlier, people buy into you, they do not buy into the business. So start working on your message, start working on your story. And I can tell you is that I have a box of business cards and it's probably been well over a year to 2 years and I haven't handed them out. Because again, we have social media. I met someone in a cafe recently that I was in there and we started to connect and she said, oh, do you have a business card? And I actually didn't have any on me because I don't really tend to take them around with me. And I said, let's connect on social media. So again, this is another digital way in which when you connect with people, they are more likely to connect with you in social media because they have a relatability and a connection rather than a business card that's just going to go in a drawer or going into the bin. So I want to just reiterate that around the importance of storytelling and again, really building that community and building the networks as well. That's really going to be able to help. So, what makes a story relatable? This is where you can start crafting out your story. So again, some of the problems I see is people go, how do I get started? What do I say about my story? Then this is just touching on a very, very small part of what I do to teach people to do this. Let me know in the comments as well, has anybody ever heard of the hero's journey before? So this is what I teach my clients because what you're doing is you're taking your audience, you're taking your customers, and you're taking your clients on a journey. You're getting them to come to you. Like what I'm doing just now is that I'm calling you all to adventure. I'm calling you to jump on the bus with me, get clear on your message, get clear on the confidence that you have deep within inside you and getting you to transform into that person that you are to be able to help more people. So then you have to think about it is that you are the guide in the story. Your audience are the heroes. So again, I will go back to it's not about you and it's about your audience. So the more that you can position yourself as the guide and everybody else is your hero. So where are you going to take the hero? How are you going to communicate that, getting that clear on that message, starting to share your story? But what you can actually do is craft 2 different stories. You have a story, but your clients and your customers and your audiences have a story. So this is a way that you get to connect. So at the beginning, I've shared my story because I know how important that is to connect with people. And then throughout the presentation is that I'm crafting the story of the audience. I'm calling you to adventure. I'm then talking about the pits. So the pits are around people's fears. People feeling like the imposter, feeling uncertain. So that's where some people are. So then I can then share with, well, how do you do that? Rather than being able to go out there and try and do it yourself, here is some tools and strategies that you can do. So this is a really good story, one, for you to be able to take your audience, your clients and your customers through, that you get to fast track that. So then the transformation is that they now have the tools and the strategies to go and transform if they wish to do so. Because remember, it's not your responsibility for people to do that. So let's just go back on your crafting your own story. So this is where that you could do is that you could do your business story. So when did you get started? Why did you get started? So there will be pieces there that why you get started. You might have been in a job and it just wasn't for you. And there was just these things that kept leading up to getting started. So if you're not comfortable sharing a personal story, or you don't feel you have a massive transformational story to share, share how you got started in your business. Because then you would have had pit moments. You would have had dark moments of getting started in your business. You would have had moments where, things had failed in your business, or you were just constantly working in your business all the time, and you maybe just never felt like you were getting anywhere. So sharing those moments with people, that's relatable to how people will feel. And then what did you do? What did you do? Did you have to go and do qualifications? Did you have to just do more things around learning more about your business, doing some courses? What was that search moment in being able to get your business off the ground and then being able to get it where you wanted to get it? So those are parts of the story. If not, if you do have something that might have happened years ago, so what I say is that, imagine your life is that timeline. The day you were born, the day that you'll die, is that if you put that on a bit of paper and put lines up and then lines down, is that that's highs and lows. So you will have things that have challenged you in the pit, in the search moments, and then you would have had some real high moments of all of those achievements that you have to then get you to where you are in that transformation. So that's something that you can use, but again, think about how that relates to your audience when you're going to be able to share that. And then sometimes people go, but I'm not where I want to be in my business, so how have I transformed? But you are exactly where you are in your business right now. Because if you look back on day one when you started it to where you are now, even if it was only a couple of months ago, there's still a lot of things that you would have learned, overcome to get there. So there's always going to be transformation at every point without your life and your business as well. So even if it's only a couple of months of things that have happened and you want to share that, it's still something your customers and your clients and your audience need to hear. Because what happens is that if you don't share certain parts around your story or your experience, people then go, I could never be like them because they've never looked like they've ever been in my shoes before. So when we don't share, people end up, they don't work with us because they just think you never are going to know how I feel and what I'm going through. So if I didn't share my story around being absolutely petrified of public speaking and knowing how people feel when it comes to the fears, the uncertainty, I've been there. People might look at me and go, wow, she's a speaker and she does all of these things. She'll never know how I feel, but I know exactly how people feel. So that's the thing. If we didn't tell people that, then how would they know? And they would go elsewhere. Because that's the bottom line, is that people need that sense of belonging. They need to be listened and understood. And by doing these stories and sharing parts of yourself, and I know guys that it's not easy. I never used to share my full story from day one. I've probably only been sharing it for 2 years. I've been in my business 3. I definitely wasn't comfortable sharing my story. I only ever shared around being scared of public speaking. I never shared my full story with people because I wasn't comfortable, but I also felt like a bit of an imposter around it. And I also felt really scared of the judgment of what people would think of me by sharing it. So I get it. I do get it. But again, start to piece out parts of your story, start to think of what parts relate to your audience, and then start to think about how comfortable you are to get started. So just remembering, guys, I didn't share my full story on day one. I started to piece it together, and when I started to get comfortable, I did it. But what I don't want you to take on board as well, Melanie said I don't have to do it, so I'm not going to do it ever. That's not what I'm saying. Say what's comfortable, but get used to being able to share your story, your own personal story, as well as your business story as well. All right. So guys, we're starting to wrap up now. We've went through the 3 C's of communication. So you've now got more confidence for future results around your speaking in public. You've now got some clarity to be able to start sharing your message, whether it's online, offline. You've now got that intro, whether it's in person or whether it is in camera as well. Then we've talked about storytelling to be able to build your networks and your community around your business. So you've now got some tools and strategies around the 3 C's of communication. So let me know in the comments as well, or write down on your notepad, what's been a light bulb moment for you during the 3 C's of communication. What's that one aha moment that you go, right, that's it, I now have what I need to be able to move forward. Let us know in the comments, pop it down on your notepad, and be able to use that as something to be able to move forward. I know for a lot of people that they talk about having that clarity of message is one of those aha moments that they go, right, now I have what I need to be able to communicate my message in my business. So that's definitely been a key takeaway from presentations that I've done in the past. So then the last thing that I'd like you to do is that I want you to think of that light bulb moment, or one of the other tools and strategies that I've taken you through is that what's the one thing that you're going to move forward with, or what's one thing you might need a little bit more help with. Because then that's something that gives you a goal of going, okay, I now have my message, but you know, I don't really know how to really craft that story of myself. So then you have a goal of being able to work forward and what you need to do for you to be able to speak in public or on camera. So have a bit of a think about that. So I talk about it is that you want to become that butterfly. So starting out as the caterpillar into the cocoon, and then transforming yourself into the butterfly when you have the tools and the strategies to be able to move forward in what you have to say. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing, and thank you again, everybody, for tuning into this presentation. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and really go out there and start to get clear on that message. Really share that in this region as well. Like, there's going to be so many events and different things coming up that you're going to be able to do within the Moreton Bay region, also as well a part of Emirates. So really go out there and showcase where you're living, what you're doing, because I believe in you and I know that you can do this. And letting everybody know, please feel free to reach out to me. I do free strategy sessions. Even if you just want a little bit of more help, then please feel free to reach out to me. All my details are on this slide, or reach out to me on social media on Speaking Styles. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Go out there and showcase who you are, what you do, so that you can help make a difference in the world. Thank you.
Out on the unknown, story took its toll. Thought I would have grown off the beaten track to become a better man, sinking in the sand. Oh, we don't need the past in our lives for tomorrow. Never see the end of the night filled with sorrow. What do we do to love? What do we do to love? What do we do to love when everything's said and done? What do we do to love? What do we do to love? What do we do to love when everything's said and done? What do we do to love?
like your fire is gone. Across your face, it is written across your face. If you wanna talk, I'm right here, not gonna leave your side. Just feel free to open up when the moment's right. Across your face, it is written across your face. If you wanna go out, we can go out. You can hide away just for one night. But if you wanna cry, just let it out. I'm by your side now. Just hold on a bit more, 'cause I know you only see the rain, not the rainbow. Deep down, I know you're strong. Give them hell, baby, prove them wrong. Just hold on a bit more, 'cause I know you only see the rain, not the rainbow. I know you'll get up again. Better stand up tall, I know you can be brave, brave, brave. I know you can be brave, brave, brave. I know we did you wrong, wish I could take your pain away. 'Cause I hate seeing tears streaming down your face. I know you're strong, won't feel this way for long, no. If you wanna go out, we can go out. You can hide away just for